So recently I've been doing a lot more solo queue and been loving exploring new tactics as a solo player. One thing I really wanted to come up with was something that has the potential to work in both solo queue and in 3 stacks. Something that has versatility to it, allowing me to swap up some aspects of the loadout to adapt to different teams and maps, and I think I've created something pretty good. Also, I've discovered a way to make cloak more effective. If you haven't already seen Gel's video on it, I have a link below in the description if you want to watch. This basically talks about why cloak is really bad and how cosmetics are kind of ruining it. And if cosmetics can ruin it, I also have the idea that maybe they can also fix it. So I came up with a few different outfits that I found would maximize the effectiveness of cloaking device. And it actually led to some insane success. Now before we get into the loadout and breaking down how this works, I wanted to talk about something that I've created recently, which is the Finals University. This is a Discord where you can get a lot of educational resources, whether it be sensitivity converters, map callouts, being able to set up scrims, and looking for a group. This is a place for people who are trying to improve at the game at all different skill levels. If you're trying to take your skill from where it is now to the next level, this is the best place to learn it. I also do a lot of coaching, so this is the place to get coaching. If you are interested, I have a section about how to get coached, so feel free to just reach out to me there. The link will be in the description below for the Finals University. So let's hop right into the loadout, and I want to break down every aspect of the kit and explain where you can swap things out and how to effectively use it, and then give some tips and tricks to make it even more effective. There's also something important to understand is checking your teammates' loadouts before the game so that you know how to adjust your kit in order to make this loadout work the best. So the baseline loadout is as follows: cloaking device XP54 or whatever primary suits you. I will admit XP probably isn't the best here, but it is one that I just seem to enjoy a lot. The H+ Infuser, Gateway, and Breaching Charge. For reserves, we bring alternative weapons for various maps and compositions. So for me, that's LH1, M11, and ARN220. And then the one spare gadget that we're bringing is the Glitch Grenade. For cloaking device, I have a few tricks to make it work a lot more effectively. First is making your character as simple as we can. A very basic, smooth outline, nothing too crazy, no crazy hair or wings, anything like that. As you can see here, this is the character outfit I came up with. This will make our silhouette much less chaotic and give cloak a much stronger effect. Another thing is cloak will be more visible and make more noise the faster that you move, so you will want to try to be as stealthy as you can. This means crouching a lot, standing still, and in general moving very slowly. This spec is not a run and gun type of spec. It is very much so about having patience and placing yourself in good positioning, and you're going to notice how effective this becomes when you have proper positioning and proper movement for the class. I've noticed a lot of people who frequent Dash trying out cloak, and they try to move around way too much. They're popping it and then they're just sprinting all around the fight, then be like, what? How am I getting spotted? Well, the reason is because that's not how you play cloak. Try to pick your backgrounds as smart as you can. This is something a lot of people very much so underestimate. Don't just stand with a flat, basic background, because as people move around, they're going to see your silhouette a lot easier. Try to find chaotic backgrounds or something that's very difficult to read. Something like bushes or trees or billboards with a lot of chaos around them, or the skybox, which is a fantastic one. The clouds and the crowd behind tend to add a lot of visual blur. This makes cloak feel a lot more effective. The more chaos, the harder it is for people to read cloak, and the more effective it's going to be for you. Keep in mind, cloaking device is a relatively loud activation, so you want to try to mask the effect when possible. Try to land glitch grenades on enemies to prevent them from hearing you as well, or in this case, use breach charge to set up around the cash out that you might be approaching or defending. And one thing I really enjoy doing is placing a breach charge on a wall, blowing it up at the same time that I activate my cloaking device. This will mask the cloaking activation, and all the rubble and debris from the explosion is going to be able to hide my silhouette. Now for the weapon, it really is just map and comp dependent. I like XP in general because the gun just feels fun to me, but in reality, it's not the best option. It is a bit of a pea shooter. So for that reason, the M11 is great for close range maps. The M26 Matter is also a fantastic option for close range maps. Something like Las Vegas, especially when it's not Sandstorm, can be a pretty solid M26 Matter map. And the ARN 220 is usually my go-to, even for close and medium ranges, but it is fantastic for those long range maps. And with all the bullets, it really shines in this sustained meta. The 9.3R is in general a really strong pick on the class, so if you come out of stealth landing a full burst headshot, you can just absolutely melt people, so don't sleep on this weapon for cloak. Another one that synergizes extremely well with cloak is the LH1, and the reason for this is because you have a 2x headshot multiplier. So if you're able to control this weapon, you can start with a headshot, quickly whip it down, and follow up with a few extra shots, and you should be able to get some insanely fast TTKs. Even up close, this thing is an insanely strong weapon. Personally, I am not the best with LH1. I find it's kind of difficult to control unless I'm using it all day, and I like swapping around my loadouts quite a bit throughout the day, so LH1 doesn't shine the best, but if you want to master something, the LH1 is a fantastic pick with cloak. Just aim for the headshot to start every fight. Now when it goes to the gadgets, the H+ Infuser, I highly recommend trying to get your full 20 rounds out before engaging in most cases, so stay close to your teammates and heal. Unless you have an amazing angle on enemies, we should focus healing first, as this gadget is insanely strong. Now for gateway, this is something we've used for a very long time, so it probably doesn't need too much of an explanation, but try to set it up more for a selfish escape versus a way to get back into the fight. Because you don't have dash, sometimes your escape can be pretty weak, so if you have a cover or a door nearby and you need to quickly get out, just dip behind cover, throw your gateway, and get out of there. And then find your way back to the fight from a different angle. Since we're not going to be dash padding a lot, you and your team are going to be a little bit slower getting around the map. That's fine. You can still use gateway for your team, but without dash, it does become a little bit more selfish. For the breach charge, there is a ton of tech we got to go through here. Place 2 breaches on the cash out, and 1 of these breaches is going to go on each side so that you can guarantee the drop. If you only place 1 breach charge, you are less likely to actually be able to drop the cash out. This gives you a 1 left to have fun with, and what I like to do is place it on a fire barrel if possible, and then place that fire barrel a floor under the cash out or right next to it. I try to avoid placing all 3 breaches on the cash out at once. This is a waste of one of them that could be utilized in a different way. I've tested a bunch of different variations of this, and you can almost guarantee a drop every single time with just 2 breaches. Don't waste your third. It doesn't do a lot of damage to enemies, it is mainly about utility. Now, unfortunately, 1 breach will not pop a gas barrel, but fire barrels will end up lighting the fuse, so that's why I prefer fire barrels. And since it is lighting the fuse and not blowing up, this means as the enemies fall down a floor onto that fire barrel, it's going to be very close to blowing up, so you could get the damage from it. Breaches also have a shorter priming time than C4s, so they can be triggered a lot faster. Since you have 3 charges of breaching charge, and you also have a very fast fuse time, along with them dealing very low self-damage and creating a relatively small hole versus a very large one, you can actually use these as a pseudo dematerializer. So another setup for defending the cash out is to have 2 on the cash out, and then 1 on a floor above or below, or a breach that goes on a wall next to the cash out where you can hide behind with your team. Putting the breach on the opposite side of the cash out means they're not going to be able to see it. So make sure you're not putting it inside the room with the cash out, or else it is very predictable what you're doing. After this, you and your team can hide behind that wall. The moment that they go for the steal, you can pop your breach, opening up a wall so that you and your team can push through, along with dropping and dealing a little bit of damage to the enemies. This is going to catch them off guard and can be a fantastic play overall. Another setup is to have your heavy or medium bring gas or pyro mines, and then you place the breach and the mines on top of each other, or at least very close to each other, typically again on opposite sides of the cash out. That way you have a way to remotely trigger these mines. So if they do go for a steal and you trigger 2 pyro mines, that's enough to basically kill whoever's on it. And the fire actually sticks to the cash out, so that means if they try to winch it away, it's still on fire for a set amount of time. They would need some form of smoke barrel or smoke grenades to remove them, but it's very rare that people actually bring those or have them near a cash out. So this gives you what I call a giga stall, where it basically is dropping, being set on fire, and even winch can't remove it. There's only one way for them to stall it, which is smoke. So this gives you and your team a lot of time to be able to approach them and play this smart. This also means that with the fire on the cash out, it's very difficult for them to place any goo grenades because the goo grenades are just going to be set on fire and it's going to cause damage to them. And then it also makes it a lot easier for them to break those goo and then just push the fight. It is a pretty good counter to the current meta. And if your heavy doesn't really want to bring pyromines or prefers bringing something like the healing emitter or an extra defensive thing like having goo and dome shield on top of their RPG, then, like I said, you could bring a gas mine for the medium. And this means that they need some form of fire to remove the gas or at least winch it away. But you can set up a bunch of goo around it and almost set up a bit of a defensive setup for them that they think, oh, we can go here and start stealing. And then there is a bunch of gas that gets triggered, and then as they're flooding out of it, you guys can pick them off. Now, something that's very important about this loadout is you need to play closer to your teammates than your typical dash light. On dash, you can play a little bit further from your team because you have that dash in order to close the gap if you need to, but this is meant to be an effective playstyle in solo queue, and because of that, we need to play closer to our teammates. Please do not run away from your teammates off on the other side of the map. Stick with your teammates on this class. Keep them healed up, and whenever you set up a defensive play, try to let them know so that you can play close to them, and especially if you're playing some sort of breaching charge play where you're playing above or to the side or even below, if you can let them know and have them stack on top of you, it's going to be a lot more effective. So the moment that that breach charge goes off, you pop cloak and push in with your team. Try not to be the first one shot, let your team soak up the first bit of damage, and then try to pick off any weak target and land your headshots first. Take your time. So when do we swap off of breach and what can we use alternatively? So breach is your standard. I find often in solo queue you don't always get a heavy that brings C4, or you don't even get a heavy at all. So playing drop as the light is a fantastic solution to this. This is creating a class that does healing and drop. You're basically doing your medium and your heavy's job all together as a light. So even if you end up on a team that is all lights, you can probably make this work. Or if you end up with 2 mediums and your light, or 2 lights and a medium, you're still able to do the heavy's job to a degree. And if you do end up running into HML comp where you have a heavy, you can even let them know, hey, you can swap off of C4 if you want and bring something else. They could bring an extra defensive item like Goonade, Barricade, Healing Emitter, or just let them know that they could bring Pyromine and stack it on top of your breach. If your heavy does prefer C4, then this is why we bring Glitchnade in the reserve so that you can swap your breach out. Alternatively, you can use Sonar Grenade, which is very strong at the moment. Especially in solo queue, this gives your team a lot of information that they normally wouldn't have. And I'd say if you're running a triple light team or even a medium and double light team, it might be good to swap out your healing infuser for a sonar grenade. I think this game has a ton of build variety and there's so much people are sleeping on. So I really want to encourage you guys to get out there and try something new. Consider subscribing if you like educational content. And if you want to support me, feel free to come and stop by my Twitch as well. Follow would mean a lot. You can also come and chat live, ask some questions, get some clarity. I do stream full time now. So grab your best solo queue loadout and I will see you in the finals.
I'm going down there.
Oh, he fucking... Oh god, he hit this jump pad, and I was just beating him out of the air. The moment that he was like right here, he hits the fucking RPG. It just fucking suicide.
Damn.